if it's not checking, not savings, explain to me how can a normal consumer can't access your bank?
Yeah, so it's only for residential and commercial real estate transactions.
Oh,
yes.
So if I am purchasing a home, I can gain financing through your bank?
Correct. So it goes in line with already have a team of agents, and I too sell, and we're all over the United States. And the bank services every state that I have agents and even more.
So instead of going through another bank or another credit union, so you literally have a one-stop shop.
It's a one-stop shop.
Welcome to The Dash. You know, The Dash is that tiny line between your life start date and end date. It's your story, the chapters in your book, your journey. Get ready for real conversations with real people telling real stories about the realities of failure, setbacks, and success. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. We're rolling. Let's go. The Dash in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Lady Jade, and welcome to the Dash podcast. Y'all are in for a treat, okay? Another amazing episode. Sometimes I get so impressed by the guests, okay? But before we get into who we have on this episode, I need y'all to do me a favor. If you are watching this on YouTube, I need you to click that subscribe button. Please do it for your girl. I need you to like. I need you to comment. I need you to share this, especially if you're inspired today. Now, today's guest, y'all, I have a bank owner, okay? A black bank owner. Y'all, I have a black, beautiful bank owner. That is a woman. Her name is Benaisha Poole-Watson. And when you walked in, Miss Benaisha, I said, no, she don't have her own bank. You better show out.
Yes, thank you.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you taking the time to come today because I already know that your story is going to inspire so many people. But yes, beauty and brains.
Thank you.
I've heard so many people... So many people have bragged on you and talked about how smart you are, but how humble you are. So just to clear it up, Miss Benaisha, is it true that you own a bank?
I do. Black-owned bank.
Look, I do. I'd be like, girl, you know. Okay, so we got to talk about that. How the heck does a woman get to become a bank owner?
Well, I will say that it wasn't easy. Okay. It didn't happen overnight.
Okay.
I started in the space. I can tell you my story now, but we can get into it later.
Let's get into it because, again, this is all about the dash. Now, just in case you're not familiar with what the dash is, you know, like that little bitty line between your birth date and your end date?
Yes.
It's a little dash.
Yeah.
Nobody pays attention to the dash, but the dash is really your story, right? It's what made you who you are today. So as a bank owner... Yes, I need the story because people are here like, teach us, sis, teach us. So yes, so you're a bank owner now, but how did we get to this point? Where are you from originally?
LA, represent.
Okay, so look, because I had on a New York hat earlier today.
Yeah.
I'm not from New York. Okay, so you are from LA.
From LA, born and raised.
Okay, and did you always know you wanted to own a bank?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I had no idea that I would be here. I'm just grateful and thankful.
Yeah.
I am a humble person, and I believe that, you know, everything starts with who you are.
Sure.
And you have to be grounded, especially when you move up into these levels.
Sure.
Because I think that if I get out of pocket, I could lose it.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to lose it. I want to help inspire other people and go as long as I can with this.
So you started as a little girl in LA, and what were your aspirations back then?
Modeling.
And I could see it. Yes. Did you used to model?
I did.
Okay, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Singing and modeling. Something in entertainment was my space.
Yeah.
But I ended up journeying outside of that. Went
Okay.
to the military.
You went to the military?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I was in the Air Force.
This is getting the air. Look at me. Okay, the Air
yes,
Force.
yep.
Nice. Okay.
So I served time in the Air Force, and I was always a property owner. And so being a landlord and an investor taught me how to move around in the space of real estate.
Okay, so let's back up. So first of all, what made you decide to go to the military? Because, I mean, usually it's when we can't figure out what we want to do. So
Yeah.
it's like, let me go. Or maybe somebody in your family. So how did you even end up in the Air Force?
So I graduated high school early.
Okay.
I took a weekend off. I went to college. Once I got to college, I had a professor that kind of took to me. So after class, he pulled me to the side. He's like, hey, what do you want to do after you get out of school? And I was like, oh, I want to work for the IRS. I just randomly said something. And he's like, wrote down on a piece of paper, call this number in 4 years. So I'm walking out of class like, what the hell am I supposed to do for 4 years?
Right.
So I had some friends that were joining the Army, and they were doing like a buddy thing. So I just took my car and drove it over to the little shopping center with the Army, Navy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I looked in the Marines. I said, no, I'm not doing that ever. The Army, yeah, nah. Navy, I can't swim. I didn't know anything about what they do.
I can't swim. And I'm not going to get my hair wet. Stop playing.
Exactly. And so I went down to the Air Force and I peeked in, and there was this guy, a black guy and a Hispanic guy, and they were just chilling like this. And they were like, what's up? I was like, what's up? They was like, come in. And I felt connected. I felt at home. They talked to me in the language that I understand. And I signed up that day and joined the Air Force and left like a week later.
You know what's so crazy? You know how powerful that is? A lot of times people think that, you know, we choose something because we choose something. Sometimes things choose us.
It definitely chose me.
And the fact that your decision was solely based on them speaking your language. You found something that was relatable. It made you feel comfortable. And it was a life-changing decision for you.
Yeah, that
That
connectivity.
small little thing, that connectivity, you're absolutely right. Wow. Look, we already getting into it. See, people don't even realize we already dropping gems.
Yes.
Okay, so you end up going to the Air Force. You stayed for?
I stayed for like 4 years, 5
Okay.
years. I doubled my time, went to the reserve. So I got out and did some more time. And I went back to LA, started modeling some more. And just really getting into the entertainment, movies, TV, blah, blah, blah. I started really growing legs. I hit big on a Coca-Cola commercial. Really? And once I did the Coca-Cola, it paid me residuals. So I collected residuals for like 20 years off of this commercial.
What?
Yeah, I did others, but, you know, that was the one that I thought was the biggest because obviously Coca-Cola, you can't get some, you know, better
That's
than that.
huge. Were you singing in it?
No, just
You were just
being
being
in
cute.
it. Yeah.
She was like, I was just being me.
Yeah, just being me. And then one day I just woke up and I was like, I should be a flight attendant. I can use that travel to go to New York and expand what I've already done in LA because New York is like the Mecca, right?
Right.
So I become a flight attendant.
Okay.
And I never even utilized it to go back and forth to go on go-sees. 9/11 happened. I got laid off. And then it drove me back into the space of the military. So the military was activated for the war on terror. I started working and I just did a whole career shift and ended up starting to work for the government after I got off the military's duty, whatever they have you on.
Okay.
And then once I got into the space of working for the government, the door started opening there. I started excelling in my career, basically rising up the ranks. And they transferred me to Dallas, Texas. I was living in DC at the time. I moved around for this job all across the nation many, many times.
Okay.
So I get to Dallas, Texas, and I'm getting ready to go. The next step is to run an office, probably in New York or something like that. And I'm young at this time. I'm like barely 30.
Okay.
And I'm operating in a space where I'm telling older white men what to do. So I had a few haters.
Some resistance.
Yeah, I
for
had a little
sure.
bit of resistance. So at the time I was like, okay, I have a law degree. I have all these things in my educational background.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, I know.
When did the law thing? I told y'all, beauty and brains, right?
Yes.
So I guess while you were in the military, did you get this law degree?
I kept studying for school. I never stopped. So even though I went into the military, I kept educating myself. So I was getting degree after degree and still working full time. So I ended up with 2 masters and a law degree. So essentially,
No, we're not gonna just. Okay, there's a lot of people watching or listening.
yes.
Okay, they're already like, okay, I'm checking out because I don't. What is the push? What is the motivation for you to achieve so much in such a short amount of time? Because so far it seems like you've had no resistance. Like everything has just been easy for you. It's fallen into your lap. Is that the case? Yay or nay? Or was it a struggle?
It was a struggle, you know, but I always put myself in position. I'm the type of person that I can get in any room.
Okay.
And once I get in the room, the rest is history.
What's the key to be able to get into any room?
I think the key to getting into any room is openness, open-mindedness. Don't come in like you're bragging about yourself.
Okay.
Sometimes you could be the quietest person in the room and still be noticed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what was the reasoning behind wanting to achieve so much? 2 master's degrees, you went into law school. Like, why all of the things?
Yeah. So my mother's an immigrant. She came to the United States with 1 bag. And she never told me, look, you better be something when you get big. She didn't give me that, but she gave me that, you know? She always told me you could be better, you could do more, don't settle for less. If you get pregnant, don't worry, I got your back, which I did. I had a baby when I was 19. So I had things that I've gotten into, but I always had a support and a foundation through my mom. And I had my dad, but they had broke up when I was like 9. So, you know, when you have somebody who's constantly telling you, you can be, don't settle, you can be, leave these guys alone, don't worry about her, just keep going. It gets into like embedded in you. I was never scared. I always was a leader. I was never a follower.
Fearless.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Benaisha, you said something. I am sitting right now in front of a woman that had a baby at 19 that is now a bank owner.
Yep.
I'm going to say that again because I don't think that you understand that was not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
You were a teenage mother, and now you are a bank owner.
Statistically, I should have been a whole nother hemisphere.
You beat the odds. You get 2 master's degrees, if I can say this correctly. You get 2 master's degrees. You go to law school. You go to the military. And now you... Oh my God, my mind is like literally blown. I mean, just hearing that, and we're going to get into more of how you got there. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for people.
Yeah.
Okay. And raised by a single mother.
Yep. She never remarried.
Raised by a single mother that is an immigrant, came to the United States from another country, and you are where you are today. Okay. So let's fast forward a little bit. No, actually, I want to rewind. You have, if you don't mind, because I am going to dig in a little deeper, because there are people that are watching right now that counted themselves out because they had a child at a young age. You had a child at 19. Was there ever a part of you that was like, how the heck am I going to do this?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
How did you balance? Because at the time, were you in the military?
So I got pregnant. Yeah, I was in the military when I got pregnant.
Okay.
And the dad was supportive. We were together in a relationship. And when I cut my time short in the military, that was to come back home just because he couldn't be transferred to where I was. He was from California. Okay. And he was looking for a job out where I was at, based in the military. I was in Idaho. And it just wasn't working. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get off active duty, and that makes you double your reserve time, which I was fine with. So that way it took me back home. So I had a support system. I had the dad. I had my mom. You know, so I wasn't alone.
Okay. So then fast forward, you go through the military. How do we get to the point of like even having enough funds to start a bank? Because what does it take to start a bank?
That's a good question, because no one ever really asked me, what does it take? So in order to start a bank, you have to create an LLC, a company. Okay. The attorneys will start vetting you. The main criteria is to have liquid. And they will verify it. So the number is a very large number. Do you want me to say it?
Absolutely.
It's 50 million liquid. They have to verify it. It's not assets. It's not like, okay, I own 17 apartment buildings and this is how much it's worth. You have to have the money in the bank. And once they verify your 50 million liquid, the doors just opened up. All the rest of the stuff was paperwork. Like I don't care what the rest of it is. That was like the main thing.
How does a person come up with $50 million liquid?
Okay, so I have a whole part of my life that we didn't talk about yet, and that's in real estate. So when I was 19, 20, I purchased my first house. Once I bought that house, I flipped it after 2 years. I doubled my profit. By the time I was 26, I owned over 20 rental properties across California.
We just need to take a pause for a second.
Yep, it's a whole nother level.
But it's amazing, right? Oh my gosh!
I had properties in Chicago. I had properties in Virginia. I just was buying up stuff. I would move around for my job.
But how do you know how to do this? Or did you become a real estate agent too?
Later on in life.
Okay.
Later on in life.
How did you know how to even do this? Like, I mean, again, we're not taught this growing up. Nobody says, sell your first property, get the liquid money, use that to invest in something else. So how did you even know how to navigate this space?
Yeah, my mother wasn't a homeowner. I had no one teaching me. I just had credit, and I had a job that paid very, very well. And so I was able to utilize my credit, my debt to income ratio, and my income, and just buy what I wanted. And it wasn't a big house, you know what I mean? It was like $60,000, $80,000, $138,000, but it grew.
Yeah.
And then my portfolio got so big that I was a landlord. And then fast forward, when I got a real estate license, after, I'll tell you that story. But then it started really growing legs, and that transitioned me into a whole lot more. But it all started when I bought my first house.
Okay, so you said by the age of 26, you own how many properties?
20.
And how did you know to go to these different states to buy these properties? Like, how are you knowing this? Like, you got to make this make sense to me, Benaisha. Like, it's just not making sense. I'm trying to think, what was I doing at 26? And it definitely wasn't this.
I just didn't want to pay rent. It was like, okay, why do I want to stay somewhere where I can't put a hole in the wall? Like, I don't want to do that. Like, that was crazy to me. So I had the ability. Why not own it?
So how do you know to jump on a plane and go get a property in Chicago?
I lived there. So I had got this government job, and the job transferred me a bunch of places. So every year or so I would transfer. And when I transferred, I just bought a property.
And then when you left, you would keep the property.
I would keep it.
And then rent it out.
Exactly.
So now you're creating a monthly income basically while you're asleep. Somebody is paying down your notes on all these properties.
A whole portfolio that I wasn't even thinking that.
You didn't realize it was a portfolio.
No.
You just thought you were just doing.
I didn't know the name of it. I just didn't want to pay rent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so by the age of 26, how much money are you bringing in monthly based off of these rental properties?
Some of them broke even, but majority of them broke. They broke some bread for me. I just was stacking. And then I had Coca-Cola. I had a regular job. It was just money in the bank. It was an abundance.
On your Instagram page, you say, I don't just buy bags, I buy land.
I've been doing it for years.
So then once you realize, okay, this real estate thing is a thing,
yes,
you continue to keep going.
So 2015, around that time, I get transferred to Dallas.
Okay.
So I get to Dallas, and I'm like, okay, I'm working here. This is great. I'm supposed to be here for a year because that's my time. I never really stayed longer than that anywhere.
Okay.
And I get to Dallas, and I'm just like, okay. I put in for jobs to go transfer out, and I wasn't getting selected. It was a turning point in my life where I was like, God, are you trying to tell me something? I must have put in for at least 50 jobs. And it never went like that. It would like, I put in for something. After 2 of them, I know where I'm going. So after 50 times of trying, I was like, is something happening here? Am I in a transition? Is God trying to tell me something? Do I need to touch someone in Dallas, Texas? Because I really just went home. I just knew where the grocery store was, my kids' school, and I didn't really have any friends. I didn't know anybody here. And I just was like, okay, God, what is it? I started listening. And then I started saying, am I chasing somebody else's goals and dreams? Or am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Because I have all these things in all these accolades they give me. Oh, you're great. You're an attorney. You've been to law school. You should be in this job. A day later, I'm transferred over to some other unit. Like, I never really asked for anything. People always just put me somewhere just based on what they perceived of me. And I did work, and I did a good job. Right. But at the end of the day, I just started asking God to guide me, give me strength, lead me, show me, is there something that you want me to do? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Do you want me to do something else? Put your footprints down and I'll walk in it. And all of a sudden, after praying for 8 months, God spoke to me. He said, get a real estate license. And I've never heard God's voice before. He's come to me in my dreams, but I've never heard a man's voice in my ear. He said, get a real estate license. I got up, opened my laptop. I typed in real estate. There was a school that popped up. I ordered the books. The books came in 24 hours. And I was literally going on assignment in Paris, France. So I took those books. The next day, I flew to Paris. Had I had this epiphany the day after, I would have been gone. Those books wouldn't have been able to get to me. But God, his plan was bigger. And so I took the books with me to Paris. And while everyone's at the Louvre and the Champs-Élysées and they're having croissants and doing all this stuff, I went out, but I went back to go study. After 4 months on this assignment, I came back to Texas, to Carrollton. I had never been to Carrollton. And I walked into a building, took the test, and passed it on the first time. After I took the test, that's when my life changed. my life completely changed. I thought it was great. This is not great.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. But you thought it was great.
No, I thought it was great.
But it got greater.
It got greatest.
Okay. First of all, kudos to you for being able to be still enough to hear the voice of God. It's so interesting because this is the way I'm analyzing your story. Life just kind of, not that you weren't a hard worker, right? You were focused, you were intentional, but things just kind of fell into your lap. It was yes after yes, accomplishment after accomplishment. And then all of a sudden, you're putting in 50 applications and you keep getting all these no's.
Right.
In that moment, did you go through a self-doubt?
Yes, that's my low point. So some people say, I was an entrepreneur and I lost everything. I went down to zero. I had to go live at my mom's house. Some people have that story. That's my low. That's when I shifted because I was moving up so fast. The other job I had, it paid me about $300,000 a year. When you are young and you make that kind of money and then you have other monies coming in from other sources, you kind of get into a space where you get a little full of yourself. And I had to come back down a little bit. So that was my low where it was like, okay, I thought I was going to go somewhere. I thought I was going to do something. And it was like, smack, sit down somewhere.
Wow.
And in that 8-month period, I went from all of that extra to just stagnant. Like, I need to settle down. And it changed my life. It changed my life when God finally spoke to me. So it's like, peace, be still. Like, you won't hear him until you actually get into your still. But if you're still moving around and putting your hands in the pot and you're asking God to show you and lead you, you're just putting yourself back at the start line. You're never going to hit the finish line if you keep trying to get in the middle of what God has for you.
So your low was the rejection.
Yeah, because I had never really experienced it.
Yeah. And did you realize up until that point that you had kind of gotten full of yourself, or you didn't think so?
Yeah, I started realizing it.
But before that, you didn't know.
No.
And so what were some of the things that you recognized within yourself during this 8-month period?
You know, you cannot be in control of everything. You just can't. And what you think is not what it really is. Perception is not reality. And, you know, you have to listen when other people are trying to help you, because you don't have all the answers. And being young, you know, you think you know everything and you don't know until you get around it and on the other side of it and you look back and you're like, oh, okay, I see where I messed up, or I see where I was acting obnoxious, or I just didn't get it.
So 8 months, you've put in all these applications. You're getting no after no after no, rejection after rejection. You probably are having imposter syndrome. You're probably having self-doubt. You're probably wondering what the heck.
A whole lot of self-doubt. It was 99% self-doubt.
And it's funny because you literally went from having all the faith in yourself to complete self-doubt. So how did you know it was God's voice? You say you heard God's voice say, go to real estate school. Please tell me, what does he sound like? Is it Boris Kojo? Is it Morris Chestnut? Child, let me know, because I'm waiting on his voice, okay?
Girl, he sounded just like a standard man. It was no color, but it was a man's voice. And I was at home alone, so I know nobody was in there. But it was definitely a man. It was definitely clear. It was articulate. And it said, get a real estate license. And it's like, it wasn't scary or anything. It was just like a voice
inside your head.
It came right in my ear. Wow. Yeah. It came right in my ear. Get a real estate license. It was so articulate. And I just got up from and when I started praying, I wasn't just saying, oh God, you know that. No, I was meditating. Like, I was going deep. Like, it was pitch black.
Were you doing that before you started experiencing those no's?
No.
So would you say that there was at this time, you didn't have anything or anybody else but God? Was it a level of desperation that took you to this point of getting in tune with God? It was
so, I didn't even know how to pray. How do I pray? How do I ask you? Do I say it like this? Do I say it like, it was like that thinking, eliminate the thinking, just say it. Once you just say it, and then that's when it started getting more meditational, more intentional, more deeper, more from my heart, not just from my head or my mouth. Because we think, oh, if we say this is going to make sense. But it became to the point where it was like, this is coming from here and no other feeling. I could just do like this and say, God, I don't have to put my hands together anymore. I don't have to get on my knees. It wasn't just like
the formality. It was the relationship, not the religion.
Yes.
That's deep.
And it's like pulling something from inside of you to give to somebody else without touching it.
So having that experience, now you know when you're getting out of tune.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I would never get in that space again.
That's good. That's good. So you listen to God, you get your real estate license, and you got to tell me what happened at that point, because we got to figure out how you got $50 million liquid.
Okay, listen.
Okay.
When I first got my real estate license, I didn't know a soul out here, okay? And I just started talking to everyone I could, meeting anybody that I could. If I go to a business, I'll leave my card in the nail shop. You know, if I go to the restaurant, I'll leave my card at a restaurant, mom and pop. Of course, you can't do it at Olive Garden or whatever the mainstream places are.
Right.
But it's like, if I patronize you, I expect you to give me support. So I don't need to go to the big places. I want to go to little places all over Dallas, all over Fort Worth, every little city. There's 150 other little cities around here, everywhere. The wine shop. I just started getting my name out there. And I started meeting people, and I had a pool of investors that started working with me. 90% of my clients were investors. And because 2015 was like a transition for Dallas, Texas, where all these investors started coming in and buying property, things started shifting. And because I was already an investor, now all that stuff that I had did start kicking in. And that buying property and using my credit and talking about return on investment, the average real estate agent, some of them don't even own houses. So to talk about a return on somebody's investment, they too busy trying to figure out how they going to show you the next house like this.
Yeah.
So because I was talking the language, I started building more friendships and relationships. And, you know, people would buy 50 pieces of land from me. People would buy 25 houses from me. And my first year in the business, I sold over 200 houses. I know, right?
Girl, when I tell you God's favor, I mean, your story doesn't even make sense. Thank you. Like,
Yes.
It does not make sense.
And I don't hear it until I talk about it because I live in it. So it's like, until I say it, I'm like, sometimes I shock myself. But 200 houses my first year, 350 my second year. By the time I got to my second year, I started mentoring other agents because they kept coming to me asking me, what are you doing? And they were like, if you ever start a company, I would join your company. And then one day I was at home and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to start my own company. God spoke to me again. He said, go for it. So I joined forces with another girl because she was like, oh, I want to come with you. You going, I'm going with you. I was like, all right. So we started a company. Her last name is Bailey. My last name is Watson. And we created the Bailey Watson Real Estate Group. Just random. Within like 2 weeks, up and running. After we started the company, we had like 10 agents join the team the first month. By the time we had a year, we were in like 12 locations across the United States. We had agents in all of Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Atlanta. We went back to LA because we're both from LA, Sacramento. It just started growing. And after that, I took $1 million of my own money because I was making so much money selling houses and starting a company and blah, blah, blah. And I was still selling. I took $1 million cash and I started buying the block. So I started buying land all over Dallas. And then I just hired a general contractor and I started building houses.
Excuse me just a second. Let me look at real estate license.
Yes.
Let me get my real estate license and join this company, okay?
Yes. And now I mentor agents. I teach and train. And today I have over 200 agents on my team.
Why you? Why do you think this is your story? Seriously, why do you think you sold 200 homes the first year, 300 and something the second year? Why you? Why do you think you were chosen for this?
I don't know, but I'm thankful. I'm very thankful.
I'm thankful for you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So then you make all this money, real estate, you're buying up the block. Why banking? Why did you start your own? But you needed somewhere to put all your money.
So what happened was after I started buying and building, money just started 10xing, so scaled. And then I started COVID happened. So after COVID lifted, I started speaking. And now it wasn't so much of will you buy a house from me? Now I'm telling my story. Now I'm talking about my dash, right? Where I came from, South Central LA, grew up in drug-infested 60th and Crenshaw, gang neighborhood, gang life. Like, a lot of people don't make it out. And if you go through that, you got a story to tell. It's a journey. And to incorporate that into going to college, because I always loved to read, to doing this and doing that, and telling my exact story. I bought a house and da-da-da-da, and I started a real estate company. So I started traveling all over the United States, just being booked for different speaking events. And I get to one speaking event in Houston. And I got to tell you the story on this. So I get to Houston. First of all, I chartered a jet, right? Houston is up the street, right? So I just didn't feel like driving. So I chartered a jet. I took my daughter.
Yeah, that's just what we do.
I took my daughter because I have a second daughter now by this time. She's little. Typically, you don't take your kids to speaking events.
Right.
Let's be real. Like, it's
Yeah,
not
'cause
for
it's work.
kids.
Yeah, for sure.
So she's on her tablet. We get there. We land. Airbnb cancels. I got to drag all my luggage because I'm staying in Houston for the weekend. I'm going to make this a whole thing. Didn't have anywhere to put my luggage. Drag the Louis Vuitton and all the rest of the stuff I was carrying to this event with these people that I don't know, right?
Right.
I was late. So the event was running behind because, nothing's ever on time.
Sure.
I'm supposed to go on at 12, and I didn't go until 4. So I'm there just hanging out or whatever for the next 4 hours. It's fine.
With your daughter.
With my daughter on her tablet and all this luggage.
Right.
And so I go on at 4. I'm last. So I get on, and after I speak and tell my story, as I normally do, I leave off the stage. It's hundreds of people there. So I'm kind of navigating through. Everybody's like, oh, my God, I want to talk to you. Da, da, da. So I'm navigating through. It took me about 30, 45 minutes. So I get back over where my daughter's at. And a guy pulled me to the side, and he said, excuse me, I just heard you speak. Would you like to own a bank? And I was like, I just talked about my life story, my real estate, da, 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 da. I sell houses. I don't know anything about banking. I'm not in finance. I'm not an accountant. I don't know anything about this. He said, well, doctors don't own the clinics that they work in. And I was like, all right, okay, you make sense. Tell me more. And so he said, okay, I'll be in touch with you. The attorneys will be in touch. I said, okay. So I leave. When I get on the plane, I start jotting down notes, LLCs, names that I was going to create. By the time I landed, I went to the website, secured all the names that I thought would go. I said, if this doesn't work out, I just bought a bunch of names. It's $100. It's not a big deal. So shortly afterwards, the guy reached out to me. The attorney started vetting me, and then that's how I ended up. Only thing they wanted was the LLC name. And
$50 million.
Verifying my assets, yeah. And that's how and 2 weeks later, I was up and running. Now, I don't know what this is, but 2 weeks in my life is something. I don't know.
It's always 2 weeks.
It's always 2 weeks because the Bailey Watson Real Estate Group was up in 2 weeks. The bank was up in 2 weeks. I don't know. I don't know what 2 weeks means, but that's how it happened. So right now for the bank, I have 62 loan officers. All the processors and underwriters, they work directly for me. I have a whole staff of human resources. They train, they hire, they put everything in place. And I serve every state except New York with the bank. So it's a non-depository bank, and that means no checking or savings because I have it in line with my real estate company. So if I'm doing real estate transactions, I want to make sure that the people who are coming to me can be serviced. So all that other stuff, checking and savings, that's not in line with what I'm doing, even though I could do that. So, it's free game.
So if it's not checking, not savings, explain to me how can a normal consumer can't access your bank?
Yeah, so it's only for residential and commercial real estate transactions.
Oh,
yes.
So if I am purchasing a home, I can gain financing through your bank?
Correct. So it goes in line with already have a team of agents, and I too sell, and we're all over the United States. And the bank services every state that I have agents and even more.
So instead of going through another bank or another credit union, so you literally have a one-stop shop.
It's a one-stop shop. Now, to be honest, I was actually going to buy a title company and open one. That's what I thought I was gonna do. I was like, I'm just gonna buy a title company and just because I'm already helping people. But God said no. The whole story about the guy at the end of the story when I got off stage, because I was already late, I was already messed up. My day was crazy. I was supposed to go in at 12. It went in at 4. It's like I just went there to literally meet this man, and he just happened to be standing there when I was speaking.
How did you know you could trust him?
I think discernment. He didn't give me any inclination that he wasn't trustable, but I was just like, oh, okay, conversation. What if? I really didn't know. I didn't vet him or anything. I didn't go and Google his name or anything like that.
Because I think that's the thing a lot of times, like when opportunities come, and I think because right now I'm in a place where I operate out of so much fear because of things that have not gone through, things that people say they're one thing, they end up being another thing, which I know that it's wrong for me to allow all these other situations to control my now, but it's my truth of where I am.
Yeah.
Like if something dropped in my lap that was that good, I would say, okay, it's too good to be true. And you almost talk yourself out of it. Mm-hmm. But what I'm noticing a recurring theme with you is like when doors are open for you, you literally are walking in them.
Yeah.
I think sometimes doors become open for us and we close them ourselves. Yeah. And we don't want to take that responsibility and say, I closed this door because I was too afraid to trust. Mm-hmm. And I think with all of this, life has been good for you, but you have had your lows. Yes. A lot of people will discount your lows because they don't look like everybody else's. You didn't get, like you said, you didn't get all the way down to 0. You didn't get shot. You weren't in the hospital. Right. Nobody had to die. But a low is a low.
Right.
Right? And you've experienced a low. And what you did in your low, to me, and this is just, and you tell me if you agree, you were very intentional about your low. Mm-hmm. You used your low to get so connected that it's almost like you can't miss.
Yeah.
Because you know whose you are, who's in control of your life.
Yeah. I was no longer driving the bus. So that was a part of my meditation, because as you're praying and asking God to lead you, when you say, Jesus, take the wheel, you have to allow him to take the wheel. So in my mind, I put myself in the back of an 8-passenger van and I literally strapped myself back there. So if the front of the bus is all the way up here, I can't even get to it. So if I go off the cliff and I die, that's just God's plan. That's God's will. And that's it. That's how my life ended. That's a part of my story. But in real life, you have to die. If you get off, like in your mind, it's like, no, I have to let God. And if I die, I really die. Like that's the end. Not I wake up again because it was a dream. When you realize that, complete control over my life. And when it's over, it's over. That's where I took myself mentally.
You're wealthy. You're wealthy in spirit. You're wealthy in finances. What is the hardest part? Because everybody dreams to be wealthy. Let's talk about the financial part of it, right? Mm-hmm. What is the toughest part about being financially wealthy? Because that's the side nobody talks about, how difficult that can be.
Yeah. I mean, I am a very guarded person. I don't let everybody follow me home, come to my house, know everything. And I think that stems from my career working for the government. Like, you just have to be protective. I'm a mom. You just have to be very mindful and careful. Like, my mom always told me, don't take the same path home. Take a different route. Make a right instead of a left every single day. I've always been like that. So I am very protective of myself. You won't see me popping bottles. I pop bottles at home. I'm not going to be popping bottles in the streets. It's like I have I have a professional side to me, and then I have my fun side. Like, everybody not going to get everything. So you have to be careful who you let in, because you don't know other people's intentions. And the money is just extra for me. That's just a fruit of my labor. Mm-hmm. So, for me, I just think I'm wealthy in spirit first. I'm wealthy in health. I'm healthy and wealthy in health first, because I can't enjoy any of it if I don't start within my own body and take care of myself health-wise. So all that extra is just a fruit that grew on the tree.
Well, Lord, if you got some more food out there, no. No, I congratulations. But more so, congratulations on being connected to the source and knowing your source. And I think that's what keeps you so humble and just so regular and just so, which is a beautiful thing. Like, obviously, you're physically beautiful, but I think it's more than that. Like, you have a beautiful spirit and you just chilling. Like, nobody would ever know. And that's very, very unique. And I admire that about you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you're obviously brilliant. You know what I mean? So kudos, congratulations. I celebrate you.
Thank you.
And I celebrate you even more because, like you said, you educate people, you're growing people, you have provided jobs for careers, careers for other people that look like you.
Mm-hmm. I got to be honest, like I will only, my focus is to help us. Like I help everybody, but I really have a direct focus to make sure that I help us. I sit on the board for the National Mortgage Association. I am the only Black female on the board.
Really?
It is a national board. I was appointed by it after 6 months of being a boss in banking, and I never had a license to do this. But because I sit on the board, now I'm the advocate. I am the voice for the Black community, and that was the intention of being on the board. So
you have money, you have your own bank, you have your own company. You're worth a lot. Do you still find resistance from other people that don't want to accept the fact that you're a Black woman in the position that you're in?
I don't really get in those spaces. Like I'm in and out. Like I'm gonna come in. I'm supposed to be here at 10 o'clock. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I don't really care if you like me or not. We don't get into those kind of conversations. Like they may say something when I leave, but they ain't saying it to my face.
Okay, let them know. I love it. Okay.
Okay, so
That's
it's like
true.
I'm not even tripping. Like I'm here, but they gonna know I'm here. Cause now I sit in the room. Now they can't get around it. They pay me per hour to sit in the room and make sure that they not doing no crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so we're talking about the dash, and so we do a play on words here really quick. Sometimes when you think about a dash, sometimes it's a dash of seasoning.
Yeah.
Right? Think about your mom when she's cooking.
Yeah.
Sometimes she put that little extra dash that you don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's good too. Yeah.
Yeah, mama, what you sprinkle in there?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that made it so good. Give us a little dash. Give us a little ingredient. Give us a little extra sauce. There's somebody out there that aspires to be in your shoes.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not the exact path, but they've started their own business or they've fallen in love with their career, but they want to continue to grow and scale. Can you give them a little extra seasoning because they need that encouragement to keep going and to not give up?
Okay. So the seasoning is different characteristics. Okay. So am I understanding it right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So how many seasonings you talking? Keep going.
Give us 2 or 3. Just make it real quick. Yeah.
So for me, you want to put some humble. You want to put some Tabasco sauce.
Okay.
Because it's spicy.
Okay.
And you want to put some sweet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you sprinkle a little humility. Humility is important to success.
Yep.
Being a little spicy, in other words, not letting people run over you.
Correct.
That's a little bit of your seasoning. And then you're sweet.
Yeah. Because that connect, you got to make sure that people don't think you a bee. So it's like,
So
okay.
being approachable.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
those are your 3 keys to
Yeah.
success. Okay. I like those. Okay. When we think about a dash, sometimes you think about a dashboard. You have the check engine light, you got the gas gauge, all of these things. When you hit your low, what was it for you on your dashboard that you knew you had to refuel, recharge, that you were running on empty?
Maybe the oil was low.
Because it can't be all good right now.
Yeah.
Everything cannot be perfect. How do you know internally that it's time for you to take a step back? Because you got to be busy, right?
Yeah.
How do you know?
How do you know that you need to take a step back?
Yeah, and recharge and refuel.
Okay, so for me, I like to travel.
Okay.
So I'm in and out. Like what I used to do when I was selling real estate is I would close a deal and then I would go to Miami. I'd close a deal and I'd be in Aruba. I'd close a deal. Like I would always just close and go. And sometimes I will go while I'm in the middle of closing. But at the same, that's my recharge. Like, I love water. So at this point, I have a nice pool in the back. I can be on the hill, and I can look over and see some water. So for me, just sitting out by water is my recharge, and then hitting some travel. So,
but how do you know when you need to recharge? What is it?
I don't even get to the know, because I just do it automatically. I guess I've been doing it for so long, I forgot the when you know. But yeah, you know when you start feeling like a draggy, like you kind of have this dragging feeling, like, okay, I'm working too much, because being a mom and, you know, trying to have a relationship, or, you know, trying to help customers, and it could be draining. So when I feel that little drag, then my check engine light comes on, and it's like, all right, I need to get up out of here.
You know what I love? I love the fact that you almost can't remember.
Yeah, because it's so good.
You've embedded self-care into your daily routine.
Yeah.
I suck at self-care. I have to start, because my father's an immigrant too, so it's work, yes. And you don't know when to stop. And so it's like, I want to get to the point where I can no longer remember, because I am habitually doing self-care.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think
it's such a routine. I forgot that it was my routine.
Yeah, exactly. Look, that's the good life right there. That's hashtag goals. All right, so you said you teach, you speak. Mm-hmm. How do people get in touch with you to kind of continue to follow your story?
Yeah, so they can go to my Instagram. It's at Benaisha __ my first name __. And then from there, if you click on my bio, you can click the Meet Benaisha, and it goes right to my management and all that stuff.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You're beautiful. You're brilliant. You're successful. You pour into others, and you continue to build. And it's not even just about building you anymore. You build others.
Yes.
And so I think that's why God continues to bless you. And he trusts you with his fruit.
Yeah. I told God, as long as you continue to speak to me, I'm going to continue to speak to people about my story and how he spoke to me, and it was real. And whether they believe it or not, I'm living proof that you can live in your dreams.
That's our dash, y'all. I don't even know what to say anymore. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. You're so amazing.
Thanks for the support. Make sure you subscribe to the Dash Podcast YouTube channel. Also, we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. And feel free to share it with some family and friends. Thanks, guys.